Right now, while I'm talking to you, your mind is having a conversation you're not even aware of. It's judging these words. It's deciding whether to listen or tune out. It's wondering if this is worth your time. It's probably thinking about what you need to do later today. Your mind is busy, 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 and you're not driving. I know because I've been there. 3 o'clock in the morning, lying in bed, and my mind is running like a broken faucet I can't turn off. Replaying conversations from 5 years ago. Worrying about things that might never happen. Creating problems that don't even exist. You know what I realized? The most successful people I know, the most miserable people I know, they all have the same problem. Their mind is running them, instead of them running their mind. Can I be honest with you for a minute? I spent years thinking something was wrong with me. Like maybe my brain was wired different or something. But then I discovered something that changed everything. Something that's been around for 2,000 years, but nobody talks about it anymore. And when I learned this, man, when I really understood what these ancient people figured out, it changed my whole life. Here's what I learned. There were these warriors, and I'm not talking about soldiers with swords and shields. I'm talking about warriors of the mind. They called themselves Stoics. Marcus Aurelius, Epictetus, Seneca. These guys figured out something 2,000 years ago that neuroscience is just now proving with brain scans and laboratory studies. They left us 7 rules. 7, not 70, not 700. 7 rules that will give you complete control over your mind. Your mind. Your mind. The thing between your ears that's either working for you or working against you every single moment of every single day. Look, right now while we're talking, your mind is either building your future or destroying it. There's no neutral here. It's not taking a break. It's not waiting for you to figure it out. It's active right now, making decisions, creating thoughts, and it's either your greatest ally or your worst enemy. Most people are at war with themselves and don't even know it. You with me? Now some of you are thinking, Denzel, I've tried everything. I've tried meditation. I've tried therapy. I've tried positive thinking. Let me ask you something. Have you tried this? Have you tried the same methods that Marcus Aurelius used when he was the most powerful man on earth? Have you tried what Epictetus used when he was a slave who became freer than his masters? Have you tried what Seneca used to stay calm when Rome was burning around him? Listen to me. The next 18 minutes will either change your life or you'll go back to living the same mental chaos you've always lived. The same racing thoughts, the same anxiety, the same feeling like your mind is running you instead of you running your mind. But I need something from you. I need you to listen like your life depends on it, because it does. Your mental freedom depends on it. Your peace of mind depends on it. Your ability to show up as the person you really want to be in this world, that depends on what happens in the next 18 minutes. The first rule is going to shock you. It's going to challenge everything you think you know about how your mind works. But if you can master this first rule, just this first one, your life will never be the same. Are you ready? Let's begin. I'm going to tell you about the worst day of my life. I was sitting in my car in a parking lot, and I couldn't move, couldn't think straight. Everything was falling apart at once. Career stuff, family stress, money problems. And my mind was like a pinball machine, bouncing from one disaster to the next. Panic about the future, regret about the past, anger about things I couldn't change. And sitting there, I realized something terrifying. I wasn't controlling my thoughts. They were controlling me. I was like a passenger in my own mind, and somebody else was driving. That's when I knew I had to figure this out, or I was going to lose everything that mattered to me. So I started reading. Ancient philosophy, modern psychology, neuroscience. Anything I could find about the human mind. And that's when I discovered Marcus Aurelius. Here's a guy who was literally the most powerful man in the world. Roman emperor, controlled armies, had everything. And you know what he was writing in his private journal? You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength. Think about that. The most powerful man on earth had to remind himself that he couldn't control everything, but he could control his mind. And he wasn't just writing pretty philosophy. This man was fighting for his mental survival, just like you are right now, just like I was in that parking lot. That's when I understood the first rule. Guard your thoughts like a fortress. Your mind is under attack every single day. Marcus figured out that your mind is like a fortress, and you are the gatekeeper. Every thought that tries to get in, you have a choice. You can let it in, or you can keep it out. Here's what most people don't understand. Every thought that enters your mind either makes you stronger or weaker. There's no neutral. That thought about how you're not good enough weakens you. That worry about something you can't control weakens you. That replay of yesterday's argument weakens you. But that thought about what you're grateful for strengthens you. That idea about how you can improve strengthens you. Right now, as I'm talking to you, your mind is being invaded. The news you watched this morning, that's still in there, creating anxiety. That comment somebody made about you last week, still in there, creating doubt. Social media, other people's opinions, your own fears from childhood. All of it just walking into your mind like they own the place. I had to learn to ask myself one simple question. Is this thought helping me or hurting me? Because here's the thing. You wouldn't let strangers walk into your house and start rearranging your furniture, would you? So why are you letting strange thoughts walk into your mind and rearrange your peace? Here's what I do every morning. 6 a.m., coffee in hand. I sit for 5 minutes and just watch what comes up. Not trying to fix anything, not trying to think positive thoughts, just watching. What thoughts are trying to get in? Where are they coming from? Are they mine or did somebody else put them there? Then I sort them. Helpful thoughts get to stay. They're welcome in my fortress. Harmful thoughts, I show them the door. Thank you, but no. You don't get to live in my mind today. Sounds simple, but it takes practice. Your mind has been running wild for years. It's going to take some time to train it. Do this for 1 week, just 1 week, and you'll be amazed at what you've been letting into your fortress. You'll start to see patterns. You'll realize how much mental real estate you've been giving to thoughts that are destroying your peace, your confidence, your happiness. But knowing what thoughts to keep isn't enough. You have to know what you can actually control, because there's a big difference between what you think you can control and what you actually can control. And that's where most people waste all their energy. You want to know where most people lose their minds? They're trying to control their mother-in-law's opinion of them. They're trying to control whether it rains on their wedding day. They're trying to control what happened 5 years ago. I'm telling you, I used to be the worst at this. I'd spend hours trying to figure out how to make someone like me, how to change something that already happened, how to guarantee an outcome that was never guaranteed in the first place. I was exhausted all the time, and I couldn't figure out why. Then I realized I was fighting battles that weren't even mine to fight. I was trying to be the CEO of the universe, and the universe wasn't hiring. That's when I discovered Epictetus. Now this is wild. This guy was born a slave, owned by another human being, couldn't even control where he lived or what he ate. But somehow this slave became one of the freest men who ever lived. You know why? Because he figured out something his masters never learned. He said there are only 2 types of things in this world. What's up to you and what's not up to you. That's it. 2 categories. And this man understood that all your power, all your peace, all your freedom lives in knowing the difference. Picture a circle in your mind. Inside that circle, your thoughts, your actions, your responses, your effort, your attitude, your choices. That's your territory. That's where you're the king, the queen, the emperor. Outside that circle, other people, the weather, the past, the future, the economy, politics, what people think about you, whether you get the job, whether she calls you back. Not your territory. Epictetus lived in chains, but he had more freedom than his masters because he knew this one thing. All your power lives inside that circle. And when you try to control what's outside your circle, you lose all your power. You become a slave to things you were never meant to control. Every night before I go to bed, I make 2 lists. List 1, what I controlled today. My attitude when that meeting went bad, my effort on that project, how I responded when someone cut me off in traffic, how I treated my family when I got home stressed. That's my list of power. List 2, what I couldn't control today. The traffic, the weather, what that person said about me, whether my idea got approved, how someone else felt about my decision. That's not my list. That's God's list, life's list, the universe's list, but it's not mine. And here's what's crazy. When you really get this, when you stop trying to control what you can't control, you get all this energy back, energy you didn't even know you were wasting. You'll be shocked how much mental space you get back when you stop trying to manage everyone else's life and just focus on managing your own. Now, when something happens that you can't control, and something always happens that you can't control, here's what you can control: your response. And that response, that moment between what happens to you and what you do about it, That's where your whole life changes. There I was, sitting in this meeting, and this guy, I won't say his name, but you know the type. He starts talking about my project like it's the dumbest thing he's ever heard. Dismissive, condescending, the whole 9 yards. And normally I would have come back at him hard. I mean, my blood was boiling, my jaw was tight, I could feel the words forming in my mouth, ready to just let him have it. But something different happened that day. For the first time in my life, I felt this space, this tiny gap between what he said and what I was going to say back. Like time slowed down for just a second. And in that space, I had a choice. I could react the way I always reacted, or I could do something different. That's when I understood the third rule. Choose your response. Don't react. See, a reaction is automatic. It's your nervous system taking over. Someone pushes your buttons and boom, you're off to the races before you even know what happened. But a response is chosen. Your brain is wired to react in milliseconds. Some scientist will tell you it's evolution, survival, fight or flight, and that's all true. But here's what they don't tell you. You're not living in the wild anymore. That automatic reaction that might save you from a lion is destroying your relationships, your career, your peace of mind. But if you can find that space, that tiny gap between what happens to you and what you do about it, that's where your freedom lives. That's where you get to be the author of your own life instead of just reacting to everybody else's script. Every response you choose is a vote for the person you want to become. You want to be someone who loses their temper? Keep reacting. You want to be someone who stays calm under pressure? Start responding. You want to be someone people respect? Learn the difference between the two. Here's what I do now. When someone pushes my buttons, and people are always going to push your buttons, that's just life, I count. 1, 2, 3, that's it. 3 seconds to find that space. 3 seconds to remember I have a choice. Then I ask myself one question. What response serves the person I'm becoming? Not the person I used to be. Not the person who reacts out of anger or fear or pride. The person I'm becoming. The person I want to be when I look in the mirror tomorrow morning. Most of the time, that changes everything. Because the person I'm becoming doesn't need to win every argument. Doesn't need to prove he's right all the time. Doesn't need to react to every provocation like it's a threat to his existence. But here's what I discovered about that space between stimulus and response. It's not just about staying calm in meetings. That space is where you realize something even more powerful about how your mind works. Let me tell you about the moment everything changed for me. I was driving home from another one of those days where everything went wrong. You know those days? Traffic was horrible, project got rejected, had an argument with someone I care about, came home and snapped at my family for no reason. I'm sitting in my driveway, engine off, and I just couldn't get out of the car. I looked at myself in the rearview mirror, and I didn't recognize the person looking back. Stressed, angry, reactive, always fighting something or someone. This wasn't who I wanted to be. This wasn't who I set out to become. But somewhere along the way, I'd become a slave to every emotion, every trigger, every random thought that popped into my head. I was so tired. Tired of being hijacked by my own mind. Tired of reacting to everything like it was life or death. Tired of carrying yesterday's problems into today and tomorrow's worries into right now. I was exhausted from being at war with myself, and I wasn't even winning the war. That night, sitting in that car, I made a decision. I said, either I figure this out, or I'm going to spend the rest of my life being pushed around by my own thoughts and emotions. I wasn't going to live like this anymore. I wasn't going to be a victim of my own mind. So I went all in. Not just reading about these ancient Stoic practices, but actually doing them. Every morning, thought audit. Every night, what could I control versus what couldn't I control? Every trigger, every reaction, I started catching myself in that space between stimulus and response. And what happened next shocked even me. It wasn't overnight. Don't let anybody tell you transformation happens overnight. But slowly, I started to feel like myself again. Like I was driving my own life instead of being a passenger. People started commenting, "You seem different. You're more calm. What happened to you?" What happened was I stopped being owned by every random thought and emotion that walked through the door of my mind. I became the gatekeeper of my own mental fortress. But the real breakthrough, the thing that changed everything, came when I learned to stop living in the past and future and actually show up to my own life. Your mind is a time machine, and it's killing you. I realized this when I was sitting with my son at his basketball game and he scored this incredible shot. I mean, the kid was on fire and I missed it. Completely missed it. You know why? Because my mind was in 3 different time zones. I was replaying a conversation from yesterday, worrying about a meeting next week, and thinking about something that happened when I was 12 years old. My son comes over after the game, excited, wanting to tell me about that shot, and I had to pretend I saw it. That's when it hit me. I wasn't actually living my life. I was either stuck in the past or worried about the future, but I was never actually where I was. Think about your own life. How much time do you spend reliving old hurts, old mistakes, old glory days from high school? Or maybe you're on the other end, always worried about what might happen tomorrow, next month, next year, stressed about things that haven't happened and probably never will. Meanwhile, your actual life is happening right in front of you, and you're missing it. Your kids are growing up, your relationships are happening, opportunities are passing by. Real life is right here, right now, and you're somewhere else. That's when I discovered what Seneca figured out 2,000 years ago. This Roman philosopher said something that changed how I think about everything. We suffer more in imagination than reality. Read that again. We suffer more in imagination than reality. The argument you had with your boss last week, that's not happening right now, but you're still suffering from it in your imagination. The thing you're worried might happen next month, it's not happening right now, but you're suffering from it in your imagination. Here's the 4th rule. All your power lives in the present moment. The past is gone. You can't change it. You can't fix it. You can't do anything about it except learn from it. The future isn't here yet. You can't control it. You can't guarantee it. You can't live in it. Right now is the only time you can actually do anything. This moment, this conversation, this breath, this choice. When you bring all your attention, all your focus, all your power to this moment, you become unstoppable. But here's the problem. Your mind doesn't want to be here. It wants to time travel. It's addicted to the past and the future because that's where all the drama lives. The present moment? The present moment is usually pretty peaceful, usually pretty manageable, and your mind gets bored with peaceful and manageable. So here's how I learned to come back to now. I set my phone to chime every hour, not to check messages, not to look at social media, just to ask myself one question: where is my mind right now? Am I here in this conversation with this person? Or am I replaying yesterday's problems? Am I focused on this task, this moment? Or am I worried about tomorrow's meetings? When I catch my mind time traveling, and it travels constantly, I bring it home. I feel my feet on the ground. I feel my breath in my chest. I look around and notice what's actually here right now. Not what was here yesterday. Not what might be here tomorrow. What's here now. This sounds simple, but it's revolutionary. When you master this, when you really learn to live in the present moment, something incredible happens. First, decisions become obvious. When you're not clouded by yesterday's regrets or tomorrow's fears, you can see clearly what needs to be done right now. Second, everything you do gets better. Your work, your relationships, your conversations. When you're fully present, you perform at a level you didn't know you had. And third, you find peace in the middle of chaos. Because chaos lives in the past and future, right here, right now, in this moment. Usually, you're okay. Usually, you can handle what's actually in front of you. But then I learned the most powerful rule of all. Because once you master the present moment, once you stop being tortured by the past and terrified of the future, you're ready to discover how to turn your biggest problems into your greatest advantages. I'm going to tell you about the worst thing that ever happened to me and why I'm grateful for it now. I was up for this role. I mean, this was the role, the one I'd been working toward my whole career. I prepared for months. I knew every line, every motivation, every breath. I walked into that audition room feeling like this was my moment. They called me back 3 times. 3 times. I thought I had it. Then I got the phone call. We're going with someone else. That was it. No explanation, no feedback, just we're going with someone else. I hung up that phone, and I felt like someone had ripped my heart out. I spiraled for weeks, questioning everything. Maybe I wasn't good enough. Maybe I'd never make it. Maybe all those people who said I should have a backup plan were right. I thought it was over. I thought I was done. This was supposed to be my breakthrough, and instead it felt like my breakdown. Then, sitting in that dark place, I remembered something Marcus Aurelius wrote: "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." And for the first time, I asked myself a different question. What if this rejection wasn't happening to me? What if it was happening for me? What if this closed door was actually pushing me towards something better? What if this failure was actually preparing me for success? I couldn't even imagine yet. That's when I understood the fifth rule, and it's the most powerful one yet. The obstacle isn't blocking your path, it is your path. Every single thing you think is stopping you, every setback, every rejection, every failure, that's not your problem, that's your preparation. Marcus Aurelius figured this out while running the Roman Empire. He said, "What stands in the way becomes the way." Think about that. The thing you're trying to get around, over, or under, that's not your detour, that's your destination. Every obstacle is life's way of making you stronger, smarter, more resilient. Every setback is setting you up for something bigger. Every closed door is directing you toward the right door. But here's the catch. You have to be willing to ask the right question. Instead of "Why is this happening to me?" start asking, "What is this trying to teach me?" Instead of "This is ruining my plans," ask, "What is this preparing me for?" Instead of "I can't handle this," ask, "Who am I becoming because of this?" Here's how to turn problems into power. When you hit an obstacle, and you will hit obstacles, life guarantees it. Ask yourself 3 questions. First, what is this obstacle forcing me to become? That rejection forced me to become more determined, more creative, more hungry. It pushed me to develop skills I never would have developed if everything had gone according to plan. Second, what skills is this teaching me? That setback taught me resilience. It taught me how to bounce back. It taught me that my worth isn't determined by other people's opinions. Those are skills I use every single day now. Third, how is this preparing me for what's next? That role I didn't get, the one they gave to someone else, flopped. 6 months later, a better opportunity came along, and I was ready for it because of everything I'd learned from that rejection. That worst thing that happened to me redirected my entire career towards something I never could have planned. What I thought was a disaster was actually a setup for the biggest breakthrough of my life. Here's what you're going to do tonight. Write down your biggest current obstacle, the thing that's stressing you out, keeping you up at night, making you feel like you can't move forward. Got it? Now write down 3 ways this obstacle might actually be helping you. 3 ways it might be preparing you for something better. 3 skills it might be teaching you. Then take one action, just one, based on that new perspective. Because when you start seeing obstacles as opportunities, when you start looking for the lesson instead of just feeling the pain, everything changes. But here's the thing about obstacles. A lot of them, more than you think, are created by what you tell yourself about what's happening. The story you're telling yourself about your circumstances might be the biggest obstacle of all. I discovered I had an enemy living in my head, and it was me. This hit me one day when I was listening to the voice in my head, really listening, and I realized something disturbing. That voice in my head was meaner to me than any critic, any hater, any enemy I'd ever had. If someone else talked to me the way I talked to myself, I would never speak to them again. But there I was, all day long, letting this internal voice tear me down. You're not good enough. You don't deserve this. Who do you think you are? You're going to mess this up just like you messed up everything else. It was sabotaging every success before I could even enjoy it, magnifying every failure until it felt like the end of the world, taking every mistake and turning it into evidence that I was fundamentally flawed. And the crazy part? I thought this was normal. I thought this was just how your mind worked. Then I asked myself a question that changed everything. How can you win in life when you're losing the conversation in your head? How can you succeed out there when you're failing in here? How can you expect other people to believe in you when you don't even believe in yourself? That's when I understood the 6th rule, and this might be the most important one. You talk to yourself more than anyone else talks to you, more than your spouse, more than your best friend, more than your boss. You have more conversations with yourself than with any other human being on the planet. So what are you saying? Epictetus figured this out 2,000 years ago. He said we don't suffer from what happens to us. We suffer from our thoughts about what happens to us. It's not the event that destroys you. It's the story you tell yourself about the event. You lose your job, and you tell yourself, "I'm a failure. I'll never find anything better." My career is over. That's not fact. That's story. You could just as easily tell yourself, this is an opportunity, something better is coming. This is redirecting me toward my real purpose. Same event, completely different experience, based on the story you choose to tell yourself. Here's the truth. You're always telling yourself a story. Always. The question is, are you telling yourself a victim story or a victor story? Are you the hero of your own life, or are you the victim of your circumstances? The good news, you're the author. You can edit that story anytime you want. Here's how I changed the conversation in my head. First, I started catching the inner critic. When I heard that negative voice start up, you're not good enough, you can't do this, you're gonna fail, I stopped and asked one simple question. Is this helping me or hurting me? That voice telling me I'm going to mess up the audition? Hurting me. That voice reminding me to prepare and do my best? Helping me. The voice that says I don't deserve success? Hurting me. The voice that says I need to work harder to earn it? Helping me. Then I started rewriting the script. When I caught myself thinking, I always mess things up, I changed it to I'm learning from my mistakes and getting better. When the voice said nobody believes in me, I changed it to I believe in me and that's what matters most. Instead of I can't handle this, I started saying I'm figuring this out. Instead of this is too hard, I said this is making me stronger. Instead of I'm not ready, I said I'm getting ready. Here's a simple test. When you catch yourself in negative self-talk, ask yourself, what would someone who loves me say right now? What would my best friend tell me? What would I say to my own child if they were facing this situation? Then say that to yourself instead. Because here's what I learned. You can't hate yourself into a better life. You can't criticize yourself into success. You can't shame yourself into confidence. The voice in your head needs to become your biggest supporter, not your worst enemy. All of this, the thought fortress, the control focus, the response choice, the present moment power, the obstacle transformation, the internal narrative, all of this comes together in one daily practice that changed my life. Champions aren't made in the spotlight. They're made in the daily grind nobody sees. The 5 a.m. workouts when nobody's watching. The extra hour of practice when everyone else has gone home. The extra hour of practice when everyone else has gone home. The discipline when motivation is nowhere to be found. And mental champions? Same thing. I discovered that mental strength is like physical strength. Use it or lose it. You don't go to the gym once and expect to be strong for the rest of your life. You have to keep working those muscles or they get weak. Your mind is the same way. These Stoic practices aren't something you do once and forget about. They're something you do every single day. That's when I created a morning routine that changed everything. Not some 2-hour meditation marathon. I don't have time for that. And neither do you. I'm talking about 10 minutes. 10 minutes that turned me from someone who was controlled by his thoughts into someone who controls his thoughts. Small daily practices create massive life changes. It's not the dramatic gestures that transform you. It's the quiet consistency when nobody's applauding, when nobody's watching, when you don't feel like doing it, but you do it anyway. Here's the 7th and final rule. Mental strength isn't built in comfort. It's forged in the fire of daily discipline. Every single day, you either get mentally stronger or mentally weaker. There's no neutral, there's no maintenance mode. You're either building your mental fortress or letting it crumble. This is your mental workout. Every morning, before you check your phone, before you talk to anyone, before the world starts demanding your attention, you invest in your mind. Think of it like this. You wouldn't start your day without brushing your teeth, right? Don't start your day without training your mind. Here's my system. Morning thought audit. I spend 5 minutes just observing what's going on upstairs. What thoughts are trying to get in? What's my mind focused on? Am I starting from a place of strength or weakness? Then I do my control review. What can I control today? My attitude, my effort, my responses, my choices. What can't I control? Other people, outcomes, circumstances, the past, the future. Takes 2 minutes to remember where my power actually lives. Next, I set my intention for the day. How do I want to respond when someone pushes my buttons today? Because someone will. How do I want to handle the inevitable stress, the unexpected problems, the moments when everything goes sideways? I decide ahead of time instead of just hoping I'll figure it out in the moment. Finally, I choose one Stoic principle to focus on for that day. Maybe it's the obstacle is the way. if I know I'm facing challenges. Maybe it's control what you can control if I'm feeling overwhelmed. Maybe it's choose your response if I know I'll be dealing with difficult people. One principle, one focus, one mental tool to carry with me through the day. That's it, 10 minutes. But here's what those 10 minutes have done for my life. I wake up with clarity instead of chaos. I start my day as the author of my experience instead of a victim of my circumstances. I go into the world prepared instead of reactive. Evening review is just as important. Before bed, I grade my mental performance for the day. How did I do with my thoughts? Did I stay in control, or did I let them run wild? How did I handle obstacles? Did I respond or just react? Where did I succeed? Where do I need to improve tomorrow? Here's what nobody tells you about building habits. Don't try to be perfect. Try to be consistent. I'm not perfect at this. Some mornings I rush through it. Some days I forget the evening review. But I keep coming back to it because progress beats perfection every single time. Stack this routine onto something you already do every morning. Right after you brush your teeth, right after you pour your coffee, right after you wake up. Attach it to an existing habit so it becomes automatic. And when you miss a day, because you will miss days, don't quit. Don't tell yourself you're not disciplined enough. Don't use one bad day as an excuse to give up completely. Just start again the next morning. Champions aren't people who never fail. Champions are people who fail and keep going anyway. These 7 rules aren't just philosophy. They're not just good ideas to think about. They're your blueprint for mental freedom. Your pathway from mental slavery to mental mastery. Your daily practice for becoming the person you were meant to be. Let me tell you what your life looks like when you master these 7 rules. You wake up with a clear mind and focused purpose. No more mental fog, no more starting your day in chaos. Your first thoughts aren't anxiety about yesterday or worry about tomorrow. They're intentional, directed, powerful. When challenges come, and they will come, they don't shake you anymore. They strengthen you. You see every obstacle as training, every setback as setup for something better. You actually get excited when problems show up because you know they're about to make you stronger. You choose your reactions instead of being hijacked by them. Someone cuts you off in traffic? You choose calm. Someone criticizes your work? You choose to listen for truth and discard the rest. Someone tries to push your buttons? You realize you disconnected those buttons a long time ago. You show up fully to your own life. When you're with your family, you're actually there. When you're working, you're completely focused. When opportunities come, you don't miss them because your mind isn't somewhere else. The voice in your head becomes your greatest ally instead of your worst enemy. It encourages you, challenges you to grow, reminds you of your strength. It becomes the voice of your best self instead of the voice of your deepest fears. And every single day you get mentally stronger. Each morning routine builds your fortress higher. Each obstacle overcome makes you more resilient. Each conscious choice to respond instead of react makes you more free. This isn't fantasy. This isn't wishful thinking. This is what happens when you apply these ancient rules to your modern life. This is who you become when you stop being a victim of your thoughts and start being the master of your mind. Right now you have a choice to make. You can close this video, go back to your life, and keep living with mental chaos. Keep being controlled by every random thought, every emotion, every trigger that comes your way. Keep waking up with anxiety, going to bed with regret, and spending your days fighting battles in your own head. Or you can choose mental mastery. You can decide that starting tomorrow morning, you're going to be the gatekeeper of your own mind. You're going to control what you can control and release what you can't. You're going to respond instead of react. You're going to live in the present instead of being tortured by the past and terrified of the future. Nobody can do this for you. This is your fight. Your mind, your choice, your responsibility. Every day you wait, every day you put this off, every day you tell yourself you'll start next week, that's another day of mental slavery. These 7 rules have been waiting for you for 2,000 years. Marcus Aurelius, Epictetus, Seneca, they figured this out and left it for you to find. But knowing isn't enough. Reading isn't enough. Agreeing isn't enough. These rules only work if you work them. So what's it going to be? Your mind is either your greatest weapon or your worst enemy. It's either building your dreams or destroying them. It's either serving your highest self or sabotaging your best life. The question isn't whether you can master your mind. You can. The tools are here. The path is clear. The ancient wisdom is proven. The question is whether you will. Your future self is waiting. The person you could become, the life you could live, the peace you could have, the strength you could build. It's all waiting for you to make a choice. What are you going to tell them?